Cheers, guys. Epix911, welcome to the Elitist Geek VR news for August 17th. Now, just the usual bit of preamble before I jump into the news. Just wanted to start the video with a massive thank you to all of you who day after day continue to watch the videos, leave comments, give me tips, give me feedback, ideas for new stories. I mean, it's just been frickin' awesome. This is something I totally enjoy doing. Hopefully get better at streamlining certain things. I know a few people have commented on why I don't do a lot more editing, right? And my whole thing with that is when I'm talking to you guys, and I've said this before on an earlier video, but for anybody who's new, I feel like I'm talking to my buddies, right? We're sitting down, we're having a beer, me, you guys, and shooting the shit. That's what it feels like to me. That's the part of it I enjoy. I'm not interested in making it super slick with all these jump cuts. Frickin' drives me crazy when I go to YouTube channels that do that. I much prefer the Boogie 2988 approach, which is turn the camera on and film your damn segment. And if you make a couple of rough mistakes, hey, that happens in daily conversation between human beings all the frickin' time. So thank you guys, much appreciated. And I hope along with you guys, because this channel's been growing like crazy, we get to see VR really take off into something this time. The other thing that I wanted to mention is in yesterday's news piece, I talked about the mobile GPUs that Nvidia released, the 1060, 1070, and 1080. And I talked about the 10% that they said separated those cards from their desktop equals, right? In other words, the mobile 1060 within 10% of the desktop 1060. Well, some more benchmarks have come to light, and it does indeed look like they are able to score within 10%, right? On average, I've seen some things where they're 15, 20% lower, a lot of 3 to 5%, and then some 10% differences. So to kind of go against what I said yesterday, I'm going to update my opinion on that and say that's pretty damn cool. And for $1,300 starting those types of laptops, that's not a bad deal considering what the price equivalent is of that as a desktop card, right? Like if you were to buy that as a desktop card and build a computer system around it, granted it'll still be more expensive on the laptop, but for the first time really ever, you know, with the current kind of state of the art, which happens to be virtual reality right now, you can buy a laptop that, granted it's kind of at the entry level, but then again, if you get a 1070, 1080, it can be more powerful, right? And you can have a fantastic virtual reality experience. And stuff that I talked about, like that backpack VR, right? Self-powered, kind of like what Alienware does. Well, with these GPUs, you could build a pretty damn good machine around that, which is awesome. I love that. So yeah, just quick update from my comments yesterday, revised, updated, retracted. New opinion is, yeah, these things are pretty damn cool. Now, personally, I've spent the last couple of days, I've been spending time in Minecraft of all things. I've said before, I'm not a huge Minecraft guy, never was, but I tried it with Minecraft and I actually enjoyed it. Would I play it full time? Probably not, but it is fun as hell in VR to go into. It's literally like having your own imagination sandbox, right? Being a kid with Legos all over again. So what I've done the last couple of days is kind of compared the Vivecraft with this Rift offering. And I think the Rift offering, let's start there, is awesome. Like it's got really intuitive controls. I love being able to pull yourself out. Vivecraft can do that too, into that theater mode where you're in a Minecraft room, pixelated Minecraft room, playing Minecraft on your TV, like big monitor, right? And then going back into the game world at will. Vivecraft has something similar, and it's super intuitive. The controls, so far I'm liking Vivecraft better, but most of that has to do with the Vive controllers, right? That stuff just works seamlessly in that game. So if you are at all on the fence about those and you love Minecraft and you have virtual reality, well, there's probably a 99% chance you've got either Minecraft beta for Windows with Rift support or Vivecraft if you've got like an HTC Vive, right? So I'm probably preaching to the choir. But anyways, super impressed with that. Also spent a lot more time back in raw data. I hadn't really played the game for the last couple of weeks because of the New York trip. And holy crap, some of the further levels that you get into. And I had this awesome VR experience that I'm just going to tell you guys about real quick. And it had to do with Bishop, the range guy, right? The agent who uses the pistol. The second kind of episode that you play with Bishop, it's a little further down and it's dark, super atmospheric. The lighting is absolutely creepy and adrenaline intense. And what I managed to do, you guys can't really see it, but where my cat is sleeping right now, the sectional sofa kind of juts out, right? And that forms the border of my virtual VR space, like my room VR space, right? What I do when I map out the room is I go about a foot into the sectional when I'm doing the perimeter. So anyways, what I was able to do on this level, because I'd been freaked out playing this, getting pissed off because I kept dying because these guys will jump on you in the dark, is I said, screw it. I'm going to sit in the corner with my pistol and take anybody who gets close. Well, the cool thing is it puts you near the data column that you're trying to protect, right? It's like tower defense level, this one. The first one that's really tower defense. And they try to destroy that. Anyways, sitting there was easily the most fun I've had in VR, again, since the most fun that I had when I played raw data before New York. So highly recommend that. If you're getting frustrated with that game, do that. And yeah, it kind of comes across like camping used to be, right? In Quake and Team Fortress and all of that. But not being quite as cheesy because their focus is on the column anyways. They're ignoring you, right? At least after the first little bit, they ignore you. But being able to sit there back against the wall, literally in the corner, is just awesome. Literally sitting, headshot, reload, rinse, repeat. So a lot of fun with that. Give that a shot if you're struggling. Try it out. I'm sure you can do that with other corners. Like use one of your real chairs and just basically be the guy, you know, the stereotypical shotgun wedding papa on the rocking chair on the porch with a shotgun, right? That's what it felt like. It was awesome. Now, the other thing that I wanted to update has also to do with yesterday's story, and it was about the Intel. No surprise, I wasn't really too keen on that device, mostly because I just wanted to be realistic about the GPU prowess, right? Because they put a lot of effort into saying it was wireless, and then they showed an extremely low polygon count setting, which probably had something to do with the fact that there'd be too much latency otherwise, because that would impress me. Had they shown something more technical, right, and still be wireless, yeah, I would have been super, super impressed. The technology is still awesome, and we can still go there, and it's a great first step, right? I think we got to be careful about putting it on the same pedestal as the Vive and the Rift off the get-go. That's all I was really saying in there. But the other piece that has just been updated on that story is that Intel is opening a virtual reality specific technology studio in Los Angeles area, and they'll be working with, you know, devs who utilize their technology and want to utilize their expertise in that field. So just that quick addition there and clarification. Well, let's get into it, guys. So not a lot in the news today. That's my longer preamble than normal. But one thing that I have noticed, and this has been a common theme, don't know if you guys have noticed this too, but those PlayStation VR games, they are looking damn sexy. Like, they look really good. Let's start with the first one that I saw, and it was called, Resident Evil 7. And I'd mentioned that one before as one to look forward to. It was pretty creepy. Now, texture-wise, Not as advanced as some of the other stuff, like rigs that we saw, but really, really good looking, really creepy, and really atmospheric. The next one that has been in the news is a real-time strategy game, right, called Chorix. So that one looked interesting. Again, if I'm going to harp on Intel, I got to say the same thing here. Again, very low poly count on this, but that seems to be the graphical style that they're looking for. Convenient because of the latency? I don't know. But it's simple looking, but has the potential to be kind of deviously complex under the surface. You know what I mean? Gameplay-wise, it looks really interesting. And then, of course, the next one is Batman Arkham VR, which a lot of you pointed out to me isn't going to be a full-length game. And thankfully, with the pricing info that's been released the last couple of days for PlayStation VR games, we see that thankfully they priced it accordingly. Now, if it's a 20-minute game, because they're charging $20, $19.99 US, right? I'll probably have a problem with that. But if it at least gives you a couple of hours of gameplay, and when I say couple, I mean 2 to 4, 3 to 5 max, yeah, I think that's a really good deal for $20. So, now, the other PlayStation VR game, like I said, there's been a lot in the news the last few days, has to do with Star Wars Battlefront, and the team that's worked on that is going to offer basically anybody who owns the Battlefront and has VR is, and I believe that's how I read the story to insinuate, is going to get a free copy of the Rogue One based game, right? So it's based on that movie that's going to be out in December, and it's going to be offered as a free extension to those people. No word on what it's going to cost, right? I imagine it would be something maybe half of the Batman Arkham VR. I don't see this as being terribly deep or involved, but still, it's sci-fi, it's Star Wars, it should be pretty damn cool. As we get closer, we'll be able to put something up on the channel on that. Now, next article I came across today talked about the most popular VR apps on Steam. And I want to specify most of the data that we have is on Steam. Part of that is it's a little harder to get that same data with the Oculus Store, and most PC sales being digital now. Anyways, if there are games that are being bought, say on GOG, right, and then loaded up, because I believe you can do that. You can load Steam VR, attach your non-Steam game, and still benefit from the code if that game supports it. I could be wrong on that. And if anybody knows out there, let me know. Clarify in the comments below. But I believe that's my understanding. So the article talked about the type of games that were really popular. And the first one, and well, it is obvious. I was going to say it shouldn't be obvious, but it is. It's basically a free-to-play game, which generally means they have in-app purchases. I am generally pretty down on those types of games. I really don't like fishing games in anything. I don't like fishing in World of Warcraft, EverQuest, any MMO, and I just don't like fishing in-game. I like fishing in real life, okay, but not in-game. So anyways, this game is called Bait, and it is the game on Steam that has had literally the most hours put into it. But when you hear the price, which is basically $1 Canadian, so I'm guessing it's like 75 cents US, maybe, right? That would explain why. A lot of people are buying it because the price is so low, right? The lab is also up there, which makes sense. It's bundled for the Vive, etc. But what I want to tie this discussion into is comments and interactions I've had with you guys where a lot of you have said exactly that. Look, especially when I talked about not being able to find other people to play with in hover junkers, right? We're not seeing the types of numbers that we'd hope to see at this point, right? And I'm saying that like, hey, I am the number one. I want VR to succeed in all areas. But it's definitely looking a little on the slim side in terms of the games being played on Steam, at least so far. Hopefully that picks up. And like I said, A lot of these bundled games were cheap, they were readily available, and there isn't a hell of a lot on the AAA front. There's just a handful of titles right now, with some indie companies coming close to that AAA feel, but let's face it, it's going to be a bit longer before we get that more complicated stuff. So we'll have to wait and see if the PC gets to that same level that Sony seems to be launching on, right? With that many good-looking games. And good-looking doesn't mean it's going to be fun. But damn, it looks good, right? And that game, by the way, that Bait, almost 1 million downloads for that game. So pretty huge, right? That tells you, I think it was at 700,000, that if every one of those was a Vive user, the Vive numbers are pretty healthy 4 months in. But we need that to continue, and we need games to come out. The news site that I get a lot of my stories for, and I talked about Upload and Road to VR. Another one is VR Focus, and they are hosting a gathering. It's a virtual reality game jam in London, September 3rd and 4th. And they're basically going to look at the Unreal Engine. So there's going to be people there that have experience with it, working with devs and companies that don't have that experience, right? So helping them to utilize their tool set. So that's another example of what we need. More people using it to then go and develop. Unfortunately, the game development cycle is a pretty long and arduous road. So stuff that gets talked about now, we might not see turn into a game for a year minimum, right? More likely 2-3 years. That's just how this stuff works. But my hope is there were games that are now under wraps, and I'm hoping there's 2 to 4 for every one that we hear that's public, right? Whether it's Doom VR, Fallout 4 VR, that's being developed more or less in secret and will then be revealed as we get closer to the holiday season. At least I bloody well hope so. All right, guys, that's it for the news today. I will be back with more news tomorrow, possibly another video later tonight. Cheers, guys, and as always, see you on the flip side.